happiness is sitting on a couch and watching Netflix. Don't get me wrong, that perfectly, there's nothing wrong with watching Netflix. I have nothing toward that. But if you're doing that every single day for 5 hours, I think that's not a good sign. If you have a goal and you're complaining about it, that I'm not getting to my goal.
We need to discuss your life choices.
I don't know why am I not getting there. Hello everybody, we're here today with another great artist. Everybody, Sam Lyon.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are
It's actually a pleasure to have you with us. Tell me about yourself. When did you start your musical journey and how did it start?
Good question. I think for me it's kind of a difficult point to where it began, because I think with music tends to be something that you enjoy from a young age, and it goes from a hobby to a job kind of seamlessly for me. There was never like a starting point where I was like, I know what I this is my life now. It just kind of ended up going into it. So I always played music as a child. I did it with my family and I just did it for passion. And then I did it through school, and when I got my first job, I was doing music alongside my job as enjoyment, and eventually it became paid work, and then eventually I quit my other job and it just became a full-time job quite naturally. So there was never like a starting point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you really grew into it.
Yeah, it's just always been a trait of mine, I think, that just ended up being my job as well.
It's actually interesting, as you mentioned as well, but especially I think with a musical career, that a lot of times it might happen so naturally because of the environment that you're in, because like your parents might be musical, or they might be the ones who are encouraging you into this career. But sometimes it might come a bit harder because maybe you're surrounded in an environment that is non-musical. And it might be slightly harder, right? When did you realize that music is the one?
I think I've always known. I think because I've always enjoyed it so much. I've never thought about doing anything else since I was a kid. I always saw myself doing it and I knew it's what I enjoyed, and so that's the kind of path that I pursued and wanted to follow, and kind of changed my life to make sure that I followed that direction, because it was always just something that brought me happiness. And I thought, why not just keep doing something that makes me happy?
It's actually interesting that you brought up that subject, happiness. What does happiness mean to you? Because obviously happiness is something that means different for every individual, right? What does it mean to you?
Interesting question. And I think there's no set answer to this, because I feel like my answer probably has changed over the years.
Absolutely. Maybe every day.
Well, maybe every day. Yeah. I think when I was younger, if someone said, when are you going to have made it as a musician? Like, when will you be happy as a musician? I think I probably would have answered when I'm playing stadium gigs and I'm touring and, I'm a millionaire. And I've kind of over the years realised now, I don't need any of that to be happy. Like, my life right now is so perfect for me, and I've almost laid my life out in a way that just brings me pure happiness from every angle. I mean, I go out and play gigs with intimate audiences, not stadium gigs, but in this scenario, I get to talk to people and they get to talk to me, and I get to make friends every time I play a gig. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have like a manager or a label or anything, which a lot of people would go like, well, that's a big thing. Like, why don't you have a label? That's a successful artist has a label.
Sure.
But I get to do everything I want to do at my own pace. I get to do it leisurely and with joy, and I can choose what I want to do now. I don't get to just be told what I'm going to do.
That's one of the beauties of being an independent artist. So what made you realize that this is what makes you happy?
I think probably the biggest thing is to stop looking for it. I think when you're always aiming for something and thinking this is the thing that's going to make me happy, you never quite get there. I think I realised at some point, I don't know, over the years, I guess, that when I get inspiration for a song and I sit down and I write a song, when I have that finished song in front of me, I have that pure happiness, you know, that like almost euphoric feeling.
Yeah, sure.
And then you take that and you get it recorded and things like that. And just the journey is, you have to kind of just get the little bits of happiness out of the journey and find the positivity in it, rather than being like, I'm only going to be happy with the song when it's a final product, you know, because I ended up just, I love meeting the musicians that play on the songs. I love listening to their ideas. I love thinking of how the song sounded like even just half an hour before I came into the studio, you know, and just finding those little bits of happiness in the progress that you're making is so much nicer than just waiting for the end goal.
Absolutely. I love this conversation already. That's the reality, you know. A lot of us are caught up into, as you said, the final goal.
Yeah.
We don't realize that sometimes it takes 10, 20, 30, 40 years to reach that goal.
Yeah.
But we're losing that 30, 40 years
yeah.
of the journey getting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I don't use that time, if I don't live those years, I would lose it, and like that end goal is gonna happen in a second or a day or two.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feel very unhappy with myself because I haven't lived my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. And I think also sometimes when the end goal does kind of come to you, it's never always what you think it's going to look like. And you look at people on social media, for example, and you see someone playing a gig at this amazing venue and they've got a crowd looking at them and that kind of thing. And then you might go and play that venue and it might be a whole different experience, but someone might be looking at you on social media going, oh my God, look what they're doing. And so you can't just, you can't measure things based on what you see online or what other people experience, because your experience is always going to be different.
Absolutely. As you said in the beginning, your perception of happiness and success changes, as we said, even every day sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you think you like this and you want this, but when you go further down in that field, whatever that career is, obviously in this case a musical career, you realize that this is not something that I want to do, maybe.
Yeah.
You brought up the subject of label or no label. From your perspective, what are the advantages of being signed to a label? And what are the disadvantages of it?
Honey, it's Killian Murphy.
Well, I mean, the obvious advantage is a label has a million more contacts than you have. Mm-hmm. You know, they can get their foot in the door with bigger tours, bigger gigs, bigger release platforms. You'll probably end up further up in the charts with I don't know. There's loads of different avenues that a label can probably get you that few steps further down into, you know. But I think I just love having the control over everything. Mm. So for me, it's everything I'm making is mine and I can choose what I want to do with it. And if I want to go on tour and play this place, then I can. And I can play a little venue in this place if I want to. I can play a big place in this place if I want to. And if I want to release a song and then have a 2-month break and just recuperate and refresh and make a new song, I can. You know, I don't have a deadline that I need to work to where I have to have an album by this point or whatever. I can just take my time. Like, my new album that I'm working on at the moment has been a long time in the making.
How long has it been?
Probably a good couple of years.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
But it's been a nice journey. You know, and we've filmed all of the behind the scenes of how we've made it, and so the people who
you made a lot of content out of it.
And it was a crowdfunded thing as well, because I've not got a label.
Amazing.
It's harder, obviously, to fund things when you're just independent. So
Absolutely.
I did it crowdfunded, and obviously 2 years is a long time for people to, you know, wait for something that they've bought, basically.
Absolutely.
So every part of the process of the creation of the album has been filmed and documented, and the people who've supported it have been part of the journey, and they know what it's taken to make it. And that's, I think, for me anyway, I think that's a big thing, because I like people feeling as though they're involved in it, you know, if they've invested in something.
I think in a way it does motivate you as well because it kind of, not in a bad way, but in a way that like their expectation just give you some energy
Yeah.
to just go forward, go harder because you just wanna make sure that this happens in the best way
Yeah.
possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I love that. A lot of the times in life, I would assume in most cases in people's lives, what you want, what you're doing right now are two different things.
For a lot of people.
In most cases, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, when you want to get these together, so you enjoy what you're doing, right? There's a bit of a transition. Depending to your circumstances, you might have like families that you have to support them, so that you have to give them a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So that might be a lot harder comparing to someone who has a lot of free and spare time in their hands to be able to do that transition.
Yeah.
Right? But there is another group of people who would say when you mix that fun thing that you love doing with work, it's going to take life out of it. What do you think about that? They say when it becomes a job, it takes life out of it. It's not fun anymore.
Thankfully, I think, and again, maybe because I'm an independent musician, I get to choose how I do things. And I think playing gigs and stuff like that will always be fun. Well, usually. I mean, sometimes you play really horrible gigs. Usually, it'll be fun.
Yeah, sure.
And then you've got all the admin and the boring stuff that people forget about. You know, when you tell people you're a musician, they just think you get up on stage every night. But you have all of the boring computer stuff that people forget. Yeah. And so, how do you make that still as fun as the gigs?
How you do this stuff?
How do you do it?
How you do it? Yeah.
Well, see, I love like being creative. So everything I do, I have to do it in a creative way. So when I log my finances, I built this whole cool, funky spreadsheet looking thing.
All right.
And then
can we have a coffee?
Welcome to a coffee.
Okay.
I'm so proud of it.
Wow, that's good.
But it just makes it like you enjoy it just that little bit more, and then maybe just doing it in like small bunches rather than all in one go, or figuring out what works for you, whether it works to have an admin day a week or like 1 hour a morning, you know? How does it fit into your routine so that you still enjoy your day? That's the best way to figure out, you know, how do you keep your job feeling fun even when you've got the boring stuff to do?
I want you to tell me 3 things, except that one.
Okay.
3 more things that you turned it in, 3 more boring things that you turned it into a fun thing.
Good question. Video editing.
Ooh, my
video
God.
editing.
Yes. Like, how do you do it? I want to steal your secret. How do you?
Probably the fun thing with video editing is finding the little outtakes. And any little outtakes that you can then laugh about on social media or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
That keeps that a little bit more fun.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What else have we got? Okay, so one thing I really hate doing, and I have to admit, I can't yet turn this into something fun.
Gotcha!
Finally, you found something. We have a winner.
PRS claims. So I don't know if you know PRS.
Yes,
so
of
like
course.
royalties and publishing. Yeah, and so because I play so many gigs, I have to upload all of my set lists and put in each song that I play at each gig and. So I try and play as many of the same sets as I can, and then it's a little bit faster because you can just click on the set and say that you played on this date. But you can't play the same set every night when you're out most nights of the week. Of course. It can take one claim can probably take maybe 10 minutes if you're building a new one. But the problem is my backlog is till last year, so it takes me a good few hours because I just put it off and put it off.
From my perception, I need a team. I need a good team of people around me to be able to elevate my game, whatever I'm doing, in whatever industry I'm working in. People that I can trust, people that I can work with, to be able to level up my game.
Yeah.
Okay, I think especially in the music industry.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? How do you find those people? Have you found it?
Yes
Okay.
and no. I
Okay.
think because I'm
It's always
very
a journey as well,
yeah.
isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm very stubborn. you
Okay.
see.
Okay.
So I'm in my head. I'm like, I can do everything myself,
Ooh.
and that's a very
You are
dangerous
perfectionist.
path. Yes,
I can tell.
I can tell.
It's so hard to hand something
I
over
can.
to someone else.
It seems so precious, but I think
Yeah,
it seems so precious that you want to give something that you created yourself, but because you just have it all in your head,
yeah,
right? But when you want to give it, unless I give it to somebody else and I have somebody else's input on it and I have somebody else's comment on it and I have somebody else's, obviously the right person
yeah.
we're
It
talking
will never
about.
grow.
Yeah, it will never grow.
Yeah.
Never ever grow. But how do you do it? How do you convince yourself?
I think finding the right people is the biggest thing. It's not just like people that you trust are going to do a good job, but it's also people who you can communicate well with,
Absolutely.
who you get on with,
Mm,
because then it makes the whole communication
a
easier.
lot easier.
And if they know you and know you as a person and your personality, then that is like a little a sprinkling on your work. You know,
Absolutely.
they can put your personality in, like they see you and make it more you. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a car.
Yeah.
That when every piece in its own place and it's the
Yeah.
right piece, it's gonna work perfectly.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
you can have the best, I don't know, session piano player in the world or something like that. But if they've trained solely in jazz, say, and you are not a jazz musician, doesn't matter if you give your song to the best piano player, doesn't matter. It's never going to be quite right, because if you don't know them, they don't know you, even though they're amazing at what they do, it's not going to have that,
Gel, yeah, of course.
But if you find someone who you really get along with and they understand your music, they understand you, what you're aiming for, it's like magic. It just slots in. And sometimes you don't need the best of the best. Sometimes you just
yeah.
need someone who understands.